I could ask if you think you're speaking here, please come up and have a seat. If not, feel free to sit down. We have a 4-hour program for you, so we're gonna just take it a step at a time.
Here's the entertainment.
Yeah. You'll see a side of me you've never seen before. So I want to welcome everyone here today. This is a huge day for us. And we have a lot of people to thank, and we're going to get to all of those. But what I want to start with is just saying we have a challenge in Sacramento that we all know about. We have taken many pieces of that puzzle that we're trying to put together. This structure, this facility, will be a piece of that answer. It is not going to solve homelessness on its own, but in the context of the comprehensive siting plan that the mayor has led, and let me just say the mayor would love to be here rather than being where he is today, fighting off COVID. But his heart has been in this, and he was instrumental in helping us with the property as well. But again, this is a piece of the larger comprehensive siting plan. We need to bring people in off the streets. We need to make sure that they get hooked up with services. We need to make sure that they are on a pathway towards permanent housing and a successful life. If we do not do that, we should be ashamed of ourselves. There's nothing more important we're doing for the health of our city, both the economic health and, as importantly, for the moral health. This is something we need to show who we are as a compassionate city, and this is a piece of that puzzle. This is one shelter in District 5. We have some others, but this is obviously the largest, and I think will serve the most individuals, and frankly, will serve some of the most difficult and challenging individuals that we have on the streets today. But we're ready to take that challenge with our partners, particularly Volunteers of America, and we're going to hear from Leo McFarland in just a few minutes here. I think that as we look at this navigation center, and our hope is, and we'll talk more in specifics about this, that we will be bringing clients and bringing guests in about a week. You have to do a little visioning today. Imagine you bought a house and you're showing your in-laws the house that you bought, and not all the furniture is in yet. Not everything is exactly where it should be, but we know it's going to get there, and it's going to get there by the time we fully move in. But this shelter is really built on partnerships. It took well over 2 years to get to where we are today, and it endured challenges that we never thought would happen. It endured the Trump administration saying, you can't build on that property. And our wonderful partner in Caltrans fought the fight with us until the governor helped and Caltrans made it happen that we could come here. We fought off a lot of challenges in the supply stream to get the right lights, to get the right security cameras. Those things are some of those things are still in process, but we will get there before we open. And we fought off COVID and all of the challenges that brings with us. But again, I believe that this is a turning point, both for what we do as an organization, as a city, in meeting the challenges of homelessness, but as importantly for this neighborhood, who I believe will end up adopting this shelter as one of their own and really working with it. And I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the ways that we're trying to do that. This is a low barrier shelter. So pets, possessions, partners all come in. You'll see as you do touring here, you'll see the kennels that we have outside, so you can bring your pets with you. We have 100 beds, and our idea will be to hopefully bring in full encampments. On day one, we made a commitment that the first people we bring in will be the encampments that are all within, there are 5 encampments within 2 blocks of the shelter. That's what we got to get to first. We need to clean up those areas, bring those people in, and show the neighborhood that we're now better off doing what we're doing by having this shelter in their neighborhood. There are partners that have made it through with us. And I want to start with SHRA in helping us look for an operator and then overseeing all this. the Department of Community Response and Bridget Dean, whose folks are, as we speak, out there doing outreach to start talking to the folks that we want to bring in here. Volunteers of America, Leo, thank you. Amani, thank you, who have just been scrambling. I don't know when the last time they slept was, but have been scrambling to get this done. Because again, this is an imperative. We know how important this is for everyone as we go forward. Our neighborhoods have been great. For well over a year pre-pandemic, we were holding monthly advisory committee meetings where we had at least 30 individuals representing organizations in the neighborhood who would come and meet with us and talk to us about what they want and why this is important to them. And eventually change from, it's not really something we want in the neighborhood, to something that was more about how do we work together to make this successful. And that's where I believe we are today. Our PDIs in the area also, and our business people. People have a lot of fears, but when you look around the neighborhood and see where we are today, I challenge anyone to not come back in 6 months and not see a remarkable difference in what we've accomplished and what we've been able to accomplish. This shelter, as I've said, I hope will be part of this neighborhood. Food for meals, some of which will come from American Legion High School's Culinary Academy. Some will come from local restaurants. We want to return those funds back into the neighborhood. Purple Pig Eats is already talking about what they're going to do. Great food, by the way, if anyone wants in Oak Park. So we're going to continue to do those things and build on all of the services that are already here. We are in a great space, well spaced across the street, Urban League, Asian Resources, all of these individual organizations that together, I think, will come together and make this a successful place. So with that, we have a number of people who we want to hear from. I want to introduce, I have 3 colleagues in the room today. So Eric Gira from our neighboring district, and we work together hard on Stockton Boulevard. Sean Oloe from District 2, who has got his challenges in the district. And my colleague for many, many years, you don't know this, but we went to the same high school in Los Angeles, even though he's way older than I was. He left before I got there. So let me ask Jeff Harris to come up and make a few remarks. Jeff has been a champion for everything we do on homelessness.
First I want to thank Jay. And the reason is this. We have both been working on homeless issues since we got elected. And Jay, in this instance, did more public outreach to make this shelter successful than anybody has done previously. And it was so needed for him to be able to do that, to assuage the fears of the community that this could be an upgrade to what they were experiencing on the streets, that we could actually solve problems for quite a large number of homeless individuals. And so, Jay, thanks for your tireless efforts. You did the same thing in Florida. You've been a real courageous person to brave, the anger and the fear of the community. Jay introduced a lot of people, but this is a collaborative effort. We pulled all our departments together. DCR, good to see you, Sarah. Trish, thank you for coming. For me, I look at this a little bit historically. Our first attempt at triage was our railroad shelter, which we threw together very quickly because it was an emergent shelter. It was for winter sanctuary. The weather was bad. We needed to get some safety for people and get them indoors quickly. And we evolved a shelter out of it in an old warehouse in an out-of-the-way place. And Volunteers of America stepped up to run that. We have learned a lot. We've grown a lot together. We've learned a lot from the railroad experience. When I look at this facility, it is leagues above what we started with. I mean, we learned and we got better. We spent more, and now we've got a shelter that I think will have much greater efficacy. I got to tell you, when I see my friends from Volunteers of America, it's like old home week. You know, I feel like I've come home to family. So Amani and Christy and Rio, of course. I saw Pitbull Dave and Anna Darzens. Wonderful, wonderful people. You know, there are great stories. We have helped people get out of the condition of homelessness. And we have real big wins over the years. In 1 year, we housed 2,700 people. A lot of people don't understand that we have had great success, but the problem is numbers. As we help that 2,700 people, more than that fell into homelessness. So we're stepping up our game, and this is one facility out of many. We have a big playbook to draw from safe ground, tiny homes, repurposing motels. We're going to use everything that we can to affect the lives of people and create just a better circumstance for as many thousands of people as we can. Will we solve homelessness? Hard to say, probably not. And you know, those problems are very deep and rooted in economics and drug abuse and so many various components to the complexity of homelessness. But we can make a huge difference, and this facility is proof. I want to thank you again, and Jay, you're going to come up and carry on. Thank you, everybody.
So, when I was growing up in Los Angeles, close to Jeff, I used to go to Kaiser. And probably until I was about 15, I don't know if I've ever told you this, probably until I was about 15 years old, I didn't know that there was a difference between healthcare and Kaiser. When you were sick, you just went to Kaiser. I didn't know that there was anything else. We would not be here today without Kaiser. There's $5 million going over 2 years into this facility, brought forth by Kaiser. And I want to have Trish Rodriguez come up and say a few words. Thank you so much for what you do here and certainly for in the community.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Trish Rodriguez. I'm the Senior Vice President and Area Manager for Kaiser Permanente. And this is a really exciting day as we announce progress in addressing one of our most pressing community health issues impacting our city. I was saying to Vice Mayor Chenier, I said, it's great to be out. We've been a little busy at the hospital, if you have heard, but really good to be here, really celebrating the great work. And so many of our community partners are here. And what I've been saying is, while Kaiser Permanente certainly really cherishes being a great partner here, it's everyone coming together to create this work and the vision, and so happy we can be a part of it. And Kaiser Permanente across the country is actively investing in solutions to end chronic homelessness. This is part of our mission. Our mission is to improve the communities that we serve, not only to deliver great healthcare and high quality healthcare, we have an obligation to improve the communities we serve. Now, the research shows, and we've done a lot of research, that people who are homeless suffer higher rates of emergency visits, chronic conditions, certainly mental health challenges, substance abuse, and people experiencing homelessness visit, again, the emergency departments almost 4 times as much as other citizens. And so we believe by improving access to shelters like this with supportive services is that important, right? So back in 2020 of February, we were proud to announce that Kaiser Permanente was committing $32 million to help Sacramento area address homelessness, and this is part of that. We invested $25 million to preserve and create affordable, supportive housing. Additionally, we're committing $2 million to leverage a partnership with a national organization called Community Solutions in its plan called Build for Zero. We're also investing $5 million in operating costs to expand emergency shelter capacity, and this is where we're here today. So today marks a very tangible step in moving towards those experiencing homelessness, helping them navigate with vital services, and we're very proud to help. When these doors open to this navigation center, we hope that it'll be a step forward to helping individuals get stable housing, new opportunities for better health, for our neighbors in need. We all look forward to helping our community thrive. So I have the privilege of introducing you to Sarah Daniel. She's the Director of Homeless Innovation for the Sacramento Housing and Redevelopment Agency. Sarah.
Good morning, everyone. I am just so glad to be here to represent SHRA and to join the city and Kaiser, Permanente, and our community partners to open the doors to a place where the unhoused residents in this community can come in off the streets. Homelessness quite often destroys hope for individuals who, for whatever reason, are unable to maintain a safe living environment. We're all here today because we're committed to doing our part to close the gap between living on the streets and living indoors with dignity. The X Street Navigation Center is an opportunity to restore hope and change lives by providing a safe haven in a supportive environment, meeting people where they are in their lives, and then transitioning them to stable housing. Our most critical need is a roof over the heads of those who have no permanent indoor place to call home. The X Street Navigation Center is part of the solution to address Sacramento's challenge to provide housing solutions that fit the range of needs of our residents. At this center, the guests will be provided with case management, educational opportunities, and a variety of resources to set them on a path to a stable living environment. Thanks very much to the leadership of the mayor, who's unfortunately not here, Vice Mayor Chenier, and all of your council members for voting for this initiative that was approved earlier this year. I just want to say, Vice Mayor Chenier works hard. He works really, really hard. He calls us for meetings every day, every 2 days, along with his staff, Allison, Hillary, and others. They work really hard, and we're passionate about this project. SHRA is working in partnership with the city to provide the administrative oversight for the operations of the center, which will be run by Volunteers of America. Of course, an organization that everybody is familiar with and has a solid reputation here serving the unhoused population in Sacramento. Residents are coming off the streets because we're also working at the Meadowview Navigation Center, which looks very similar to this. And I always say when it's not on the news, I guess that's a good thing because everything is stable, everything is going well, and we are transitioning people into housing. And talking to the residents, the guests that are there, they are just so happy to have a place to call, to put their head and a pillow on. They say that takes a tremendous burden off their shoulders. They don't have to keep an eye open when they are trying to sleep on the street. Being indoors allows them to concentrate on other priorities in their lives, such as finding employment and reuniting sometimes with their family. The opening of the X Street shelter could not be possible without the partnership with the city, the generous donation of Kaiser. Thank you very much. I am a member of Kaiser for over 20 years. Caltrans as well, we couldn't have done it without them, and the local community, as Vice Mayor Chenier said, the businesses, the PBIDs, the residents, all the community partners. This is for everybody in the community. SHRA is very glad to meet the challenge of changing lives one person at a time by providing housing at the center that is safe and supportive for everyone. Thank you for allowing us to be a part of this partnership to mark a new milestone in the effort to end homelessness here in Sacramento. And at this time, I would like to turn it over to Leo Farland, who is the CEO of Volunteers of America. He doesn't need much of an introduction. I went up to him and asked him, so how many years have you been working in this line of work. And he said 45 years. 45 and 43 with volunteers. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. McCarthy.
Thank you, Sarah. And thanks for everybody for being here today. This is very, very important. An important day for us. It's an important day for Volunteers America. We're so grateful to have been selected as a partner in this effort. So again, thank you SHRA for allowing us to be here and be a part of this remarkable transformation, hopefully, of this community. I can't say enough about Kaiser's investment in this activity. Not only did my 3 daughters work at Kaiser, but Kaiser has been a supporter of probably 95% of our staff with Volunteers America. So we're very, very grateful for Kaiser, what you're doing in this community. You know, housing is healthcare. And for folks that are homeless and without housing, the challenges are significant. I want to thank City Council as well for the investment that you're making. You know, Jeff Harris and I go back a few years dealing with homelessness in his district, and we've done some remarkable work. Jeff, I'm so proud to be here today with you, all of you. But I want to make sure that I make a commitment to everybody who's a community member here in and around this complex. Volunteers America will be an active partner with you. We will be participating. We will obviously be buying products from the community, but we're going to be listening. We're going to be the best good neighbors you can imagine, because we have the experience in doing that. And we've shown that effort time and time again. So you can count on us to be responsive and to address issues as they come up and that you might be affected by. I want you to know that everybody who walks through this gate, and this is not a walk-up shelter, but a referral shelter. In fact, we have outreach people out on the street right now working in these encampments, preparing folks to come into this shelter. When somebody walks in here, we recognize that we're going to do an assessment for them. We're going to make sure that whatever linkages that are necessary to move that individual from homelessness into employment or housing is accomplished. We're going to be addressing mental health issues. We're going to be addressing addiction issues. We're going to be addressing the aches and pains that they have, the cuts and bruises. I've seen over these years, Sarah, gratefully mentioned how many years I've been doing this. I've seen where just a simple cut on a knee resulted in the loss of a leg. I've seen these sorts of things that we need to address as soon as we can, and that's the sort of care we want to bring to bear for this client population. So we're thrilled to be part of this. Just know that there is a real commitment by the team that's going to be here to do the best job possible, because we know that when we create a community, and this will become a community, that it will be a supportive and safe environment for everyone to succeed. And we're very proud to be a part of that. So I'm keeping this kind of short because I want to introduce somebody who's very, very special to me in our organization, the chair of our board of directors, and who's got a very unique story that I think he may want to share with all of you. But Nick Hemphill, if you can come up here.
First of all, thank you all for coming out this morning and joining us for such a special event. And a big thank you to the city and SHRA for making the shelter possible. So my name is Nick Hemphill. I'm currently serving as the board chair for Volunteers of America. And I think I can speak for the organization when I say we're thrilled to partner up once again with the city in our shared vision of ending homelessness in our communities. So my story starts off 19 years ago with Volunteers of America. My wife and I, because of our addiction, ended up living on the streets and we were homeless for over 3 years. So when I see a shelter being built like this, I see more than just a place where somebody can come off the streets and get some rest and some meals for a few days. I see a place where lives can change. And I say that from a personal perspective, not as the chair of the board of directors of Volunteers of America, because as well as serving on the board of directors, I'm an addict in recovery. And 19 years ago, my wife Jill and I walked off the streets into a shelter just like this one. We weren't really looking to change our lives at the time. We weren't thinking about our future. We just wanted a place to come in from the streets and get some rest. But that's exactly what happened for us. Because what happened was the staff started showing us the path out of homelessness. They started showing us what was available to us and encouraging us in our recovery. 19 years later, I own a successful business and I employ people in recovery just like myself. You know, and I think back a lot about where that started, and it all started in a shelter just like this one. we walked off the streets. So again, thank you to the City of Sacramento for making this possible and giving the countless other people the opportunity, just like my wife and I had, to find success in their lives. Thank you.
Thank you. We hope we have hundreds of successes like you. You know, it's really wonderful when government agencies come together, and Sarah, thank you for your words. Appreciate it. This getting open today, getting open next week, continuing the operations of this has required work from many people who have come together relentlessly to make sure that we can get there. And I want to particularly thank James for some back here. Phone calls from Allison, phone calls from me, as you were saying, phone calls to Bridget and from Bridget to get this done as quickly as we can. Again, we hit a lot of roadblocks, but even that we're here today is pretty remarkable. So thank you for all your work. Please thank all of the folks that work with you on this. This was a heroic undertaking. We're not done yet, but we will continue to work at it. So thank you. We at the mayor's thoughts a couple of years ago now created a Department of Community Response because we knew that helping folks who are on the streets would require something different than we were doing. We didn't hire a police department to go work with homeless individuals. What we have done now is hire Bridget Dean to go work with homeless individuals. But really to recreate how we do business in the city of Sacramento so we can bring the right resources and the right supports to the folks who are in need to make this a better community for all of us. So Bridget, thank you for what you're doing. You're
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here, and thank you so much for your lived experience. That is why I do what I do, and why so many of the collaborative partners do what they do, is that story right there. I can't stress enough. The voice of those of our residents, our community members who are on the street today are crucial in this process. So I want to say thank you, first of all, to all of our collaborative partners. This is what shifting homelessness looks like. And we can only do that if we are all committed to being at the table, staying at the table, and moving forward together. So it has been an honor for me to work with all of these individuals in this room. Amani, Leo, working with VOA for many years in different counties and places over my career. Our council, who has consistently supported shifting the dialogue, but more importantly, creating the programs and the models that will bring people in and off of our streets. So DCR is committed to that, the city is committed to that, and I know our community members are committed to that. This is how we make Sacramento great, and we make it better for everyone. And so I'm just so excited to be here today and to see the end result of this, and there are going to be great things coming out of these buildings and for the lives of the individuals who will be touched by this program in the next few years and onward. So thanks to everybody for being here, and we're looking forward to continuing doing the work with you all.
So my last thank you is to my staff, so Allison, Joe, Hillary, Clay, who have literally lived with this shelter for the last 2 years. So thank you so much for all of you. We have time for a few questions. We are going to position some of our staff and SHRA staff around in the buildings so that we're not taking everybody together to do that, but you're more than welcome. Dining room, obviously, community room, kitchen, dorms, kennels, storage area, breeding area. Feel free to walk around and we'll be staff people to answer any questions there. Any general questions that you have at this point?
How quickly do you plan to move people into housing, and who's doing that? What contractor?
Thank you. That process actually began when somebody walks in, because we need to make sure that if we place somebody in housing, that they're going to succeed in that housing. We expect that folks coming in are going to be dealing with a number of issues, and part of the things we need to do is make sure we can overcome those barriers that have kept them out of housing. There might be eviction issues behind them. So we have to work and make sure that we can stabilize that individual so they can succeed in housing. Because we don't want people coming in and out of housing. We want it to be a good fit. We have all the sort of training and all the preparation necessary to make that happen. So that's on us as staff. Our case management staff will be doing that. And so that begins day one when we sort of do the assessment. What is the need? And then what's the goal? How quickly can we make that goal happen?
Roughly how many months do you think the average person will be here before they cycle through the housing?
You know, it varies. It really varies. It could be 2 months. It could be 4 months. It just depends on the individual. Again, I said earlier about this facility becoming a community. What happens is this community gets healthy real fast. Once things come together, they're eating 3 meals a day. It's as simple as that. They're getting showers every day. They're meeting with case managers every day. The healing continues, and it speeds up as the month progresses. So it's hard to say, hey, in 4 months I'm going to have 50 people housed, but I know that in 4 months I'm going to have 50 people to 100 people well on the way to that next step.
I want to add one thing if I can. One thing that we learned with Railroad, which Jeff Harris was so involved with the shelter we built up there, we didn't have separate money identified to help people find housing and get into housing. We've changed that to both Meadowview and this shelter. So there's an identified pot of money actually to go find those places where people. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. In August, the council voted to move towards the mayor's homelessness plan, which would house or create 20 temporary shelters. Is this a part of this effort or is that separate?
No, this is part of that effort. And this is the first shelter that we're actually opening in the context of that plan.
And then you talked to kind of answered some of the last question, I want to follow up. Why not have it a walk-in shelter? Why did you want to be selected?
Well, there's a few things. One is with respect in respect to the neighborhood. We don't want people lining up at the door. We don't want people loitering outside. We've made a commitment about how this will help the neighborhood and how this will clean up. We need to identify those individuals that we think we can help the quickest and make sure that they get in. And again, that's working with referrals with our neighborhoods. But the commitment that I made that came from the city day one is we will really focus on those who live closest to really clean up the neighborhood. We have 5 encampments, again, within 2 blocks when you drive around. Those are the folks that we want to bring in here as quickly as we can. Any other questions? All right, thank you very much all for being here. Please feel free to walk around. We'll be walking around. If you have questions, ask them with us. Thank you.